It's October 31st, 2023. I'm in this um I'm in this monetary system at the moment. And on the back of that bill it says Independence Hall. Um just to report on what I found in the field yesterday, just going for my own set of doctor's appointments in my local area. Um, Currently, there's an international conflict going on. They've labeled it as a war. But locally, there's been something going on. I just don't know what. The hospital used to be labeled Jewish Center, Long Island Jewish. Um, it was also called North Shore University at some point. Then it turned over and became a Northwell. I again, but the the doctors practicing inside have changed, and the healthcare has not gotten better. Um, like, and I go back to I don't have an extensive training, but I do have matriculated credits from NCC. Um, Under a professor with the standard of like donning a glove for sterility in the field. Like there's a few basic items that I am credited for, and I passed my clinical in a hospital with. Um, Not that I'm an expert of like, I mean, I'm not saying, but it's just so going for my own care, yesterday I went for something called a neural MRI of the head, because of the balance issues that I was having. Not sure. And this mysterious loss of blood, which they still can't locate how my blood, like I needed a blood transfusion and where did it go? There's no excessive bleeding, there's no hemorrhagic event. Um, so anyhow, so I go to this place that no longer looks like Long Island Jewish. It now looks something else, which I don't have words for. Um, and I know in the back of my head, and again, I go to the Red Cross. That's where Lewis and Linda sent me since I was a child. So, but it's in the back of my mind that there's these things going on. And I am looking at what they're like. I mean, and again, like name, image, and likeness. So, it's, I'm concerned. And so I go into this hospital and, or go into this facility, off campus from the hospital. And of this, now I'm thinking to myself as I go in, there's this new procedure. It's, I don't know the word for it, but it has something to do with entero, Entero. So it's intestinal related. It's not, so I'm speaking to the woman at the front desk, and of course, I always have compliance in the back of my head. In fact, actually, when I was working the fall dance for my son as the PTA, the mother on the floor, with both the principal and the assistant principal was there. They asked me to stand by the stairwell, and watch the children coming in and out, just keep an eye on them to give them an extra set of eyes and a hand. So I was doing that, but it's just, I, for me, it's either my children next, or like I have full facility right now, but am I ever going to be hurt enough? Like my big, like a big fear is like, am I ever going to be hurt enough in the field that now I have to rely on somebody else to advocate for me? God forbid. And so I have this compliance in the background between like, and I even said to the assistant principal, I was like, is this okay? I was like, because I didn't get like Big Brother handbook on like the fire marshal, like whatever. Like, so I just want to make sure that this is code compliant or like whatever this is, that this is all right. Because again, like big responsibility being in charge of somebody else's kids. So, um, so there was that. So I go to this doctor's appointment and I speak to this person that's staffed. Again, I have no idea where her origins are from. But I know when I went to nursing school, first of all, like being in a hospital setting is supposed to be a noble profession. Like there's supposed to be like you take care of each and every I just don't see that. Like each and every interaction should be like it is an extension of your own family. You take that level of care. You don't just assume that they know things because, and then again, that protects the doctors, that protects your employment, that protects the community. I mean, like there's a sense of valor in this, making sure that the cascading effects of what you are doing inside of this thing. So I go to the desk. I know I had this Intero capsule. And I have not seen it pass. Doesn't mean it hasn't passed. I've been keeping an eye out for it and I haven't seen it pass. But it is metal and I'm going into an MRI situation. So I'm aware, I have a heightened sense of awareness, but I'm going in for an MRI for neuroscience because I'm having, sometimes there's a little bit of fogginess or unclarity. They're checking. I asked the hematologist the other day, I was like, do you have a test to check nitrogen levels? And she said she did not know how to do that. She doesn't even know the name of the test. And because then I explained to her again, and so she's watching other levels that she can test for. Um, and I've had this like sudden, like stages of increased sudden weight gain. Um, so that's problematic, which I'm again trying to work with the doctors here. So I go to the staff at the desk and she's like, did you have an endoscopy or a colonoscopy? That's like her standard of care. Like, and I'm like, I did, but it was over a month ago. What's more concerning is I swallowed an Entero capsule. I was like, I don't know the special word for it, but I think it's Entero related. And that is supposed to be like flashing lights. I mean, she's a she's at the check-in before people go into a metal cylinder with high magnetics. There's supposed to be like, I mean, where is the standard of radiology like care? I just don't feel that she passed inspection. I don't. She was a little combative, but then she like got over it. Um, but I had to like remind her. And if I was, say, more elderly, or if I was exposed to something else, or if I had brain cancer, God forbid, any of these things. I mean, I'm trying to be a voice and advocate for the what ifs of, I don't know what the next stage of my life is going to look like. So I need my local area to correct itself because right now the standard of care has dropped so horrifically. It looks borderline dangerous, and I don't want to lose certifications, and like cleanliness matters, certifications matter. Like, I mean, it's like a whole nother lane of important features, and I'm just not getting that from whatever's staffing the local area. So, and then I heard about they were buying hospitals, draining the money out with these loans, and then like selling them off almost like I don't know, like a casino effect of some sort. So, or like a lotto machine. And I don't know who's benefiting, but I know who's at the detriment of. And I happen to be one of them at the moment. And I don't have any otherwhere else to turn. So I'm going between these two facilities with the medical care to cross reference myself to like CYA, cover my own whatever. So I'm at this desk. And she's like, well, if you didn't have an endoscopy or colonoscopy within the last month, then I don't have to worry about it. I was like, actually, and I had to remind her, actually, you do. I swallowed this camera capsule and I haven't seen it pass. I was like, so I need an extra step of an extra. I had to remind this woman and then like and advocate for myself. I'm like, and the reason why I'm here is several levels, and it looks like a malpractice lawsuit waiting to happen. So in order to hedge that, because I don't want to lose more ground on having safe hospital facilities in the local area, um, and with this changing population that I'm like, where are all of these people arriving from? Um, they're blocking runway 19 at the federal runway with migrant tents. Is that a protest of some sort at some level of government agency? I don't know. It's very frightening to me. Um, like, when is the cavalry going to arrive and how will they arrive by? Especially if they're shutting down the federal runways. Um, we're not even talking about LaGuardia or JFK. Those are like the private, I suppose. I don't even know how that works because again, communications has been so whatever. Um, I'm like working at like this guy came in, a messenger, I guess, showing me his IDs, saying he was NYPD, letting me know what a carry permit looked like and things. And he was also wearing a Marine hat. So I was, and he was, I was very grateful for him coming in on surveillance camera in the Stop and Shop to have that conversation with me. Because again, I don't know what his credentials look like. Um, so anyhow, so there's that. And he mentioned something about back in the day, like when he was growing up, like the Mennonites were really great. He says, but it's not like that anymore. And that, like, for me was like alarm bells. So anyhow, so I pass from this woman at the front desk who I'm a little concerned, not for my own safety, well, yeah, for my own safety, but I can get past that. But for other patients in the area, it concerns me. I see there were a lot of elderly patients, there were elderly couples. I don't know if they're of an education level where they even know, like, because they're not explaining. Well, so I go from there to then I have to have uh, a shunt or a stent or a catheter. It's a catheter, I think, put in for the some kind of now I'm going in for an MRI, and they said my MRI needed contrast. I don't know that, like, again, I didn't go to that level of studies. So this is where now I'm deficient and I'm relying on the staff to give me the appropriate advice. I don't, I had a CAT scan with contrast just recently. Now it's an MRI with contrast. And the person who was putting this in for me, and again, I don't know where he's out of. He puts on blue sterile gloves and then he rips off the thumb in order to feel my arm. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, that goes against standard sterile protocols. of like sterilization of the field. And then he's alcohol swabbing my arm, and then he's touching with his bare finger the field, and then swabbing it again, and then touching it again in order to put the catheter in. And I'm like, this is not how I was taught at NCC, at like the fire marshal like level. Like, well, I don't know who does the medical whatever in the field, but like when I went for schooling, I mean, it's serious stuff. These are people's lives on the line. So anyhow, so he is sitting in this doctor's office. We're not in an emergency situation. And he is taking the thumb off of the sterile glove, or off the glove, I should say. It's not even sterile gloves. It's just latex in a box. Because I know sterile gloves are something else. And so there's that level of, and I even said to him, I was like, that doesn't look very sterile. I'm just like, I mean, why did you take the thumb off? And he's just like, because he literally ripped the thumb off of the glove and then was touching me bare skin. And I'm like, why'd you take the thumb off? And he's just like, oh, so I could actually feel the vein, to like where I have to put the needle in. And I'm just like it's not very sterile. I was like, so anyhow, so I leave that situation, and I'm just sitting here like, and I know that there's stuff going on Columbia's campus, anti-Semites. I mean, they use these words I didn't learn. These are like the made-up words that the newsroom uses. So I'm just like, I don't know. So there's that. And before I even checked in with the first woman, I'm glancing over the paperwork, and I take a photo, which I'm going to put up on Facebook. Um, it was some kind of disclaimer. And I realized from reading this disclaimer, my insurance carrier doesn't even send me an itemized um, bill of what they're being billed for. Like, I don't even have access to see if the insurance company is being overcharged by the doctor, if there's any kind of discrepancies. Like, I used to on other insurance carriers, but it made me think. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I don't know when the last time I even got a bill from the insurance carrier to do like my own personal like internal audit between what the doctor's billing and the insurance company. I was like, and there's a huge gap of like possible problematic for all sorts of fraud schemes between the insurance companies and the doctor practices. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. And like things that wouldn't have even thought of except in the moment, and with all this other stuff going swirling around in like a maelstrom, I'm like, oh my God. And I don't know when it changed. I don't know why it changed. And I don't know where to report it. Um, but the US Post and the Federal Mail are not, although even the employees delivering the mail have completely changed. So I I don't know. Um, it looks really sloppy and very messy around here. Um, and you have to begin somewhere. But I am concerned about the lack of ethical practicing of some of the staff that they're using at Northwell. Just this great indignance. And like, and again, I even asked like the other person, very friendly, the person with the blue glove that took off the thumb, very friendly, smiled. Of course, though, I saw on the news they took hostages, and they were very nice to the hostages that they took. Um, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the MRI contrast for? Is like that really needed? Like anything I should know about it? Um, but like there's no explanation of these procedures either. Um, I know why I'm requesting the MRI of my cranial encephalic region, but I don't really know. Uh, and the doctor's not on, my doctor is not on the facility. I didn't know I even needed a contrast till I get into this building. And then, like, who's just like, I mean, again, is that I just, what are the potential dangers or risks to these things? Like, there's nobody explaining these things to the patient. Um, and that's concerning for me as well. So, so I don't know where else to bring that level of concern forth. Um, but and then of course with the credited courses I did get at NCC, the community college locally, um, on matriculated like class, whatever. Some of the um, on surveillance, I'm able to like, do one of these when I feel the walking stuff that we learned there, that it's a potential, not knowing what walking, whatever it is. And I don't know, it seems it's not like consistent trail with the demograph that's coming through, but it is very, really particular persons. It's almost like I think Charlie Brown had this I don't know if it was Linus was the one with the blanket. I think Pigpen was the one where it just swirled around them. Um and it's almost like this, again, I don't know if it's electrostatic, whatever it is that causes them to like become motile, but it is definitely something that was not present, and then all of a sudden you start to feel it, and it's like it brushes up against your skin. um and I don't know, I don't have a way to swab it, and I don't know if it's some pallet that was delivered or if it is potentially walked in by residents. Um, Again, it's just something I'm keeping an eye on. And as it arises on the security footage, I'm trying to just make big, exaggerated motions, but not look like I have a mental deficiency or a tic of some sort, because it's certainly not what it is. I don't feel it at home. Um, it's just, it's very real situations where all of a sudden you do feel it. And I'm trying to just be more hyper vigilant of making notes of it wherever I can. um, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.